There are mornings when you wake up, and it feels as if the years have slipped past you without warning. You look at your hands, notice the fine lines, the way the skin tells stories you didn't realize were being written. The truth is, most seniors don't age simply because time has passed. They age because of small, repeated mistakes that, over the years, quietly take their toll. These mistakes are rarely dramatic. They hide in daily habits, the ones so familiar we no longer notice them, yet they shape how we stand, how we think, how we feel. Dr. Shigaki Hinohara, a Japanese physician who lived to 105, used to say, "It's not the years that wear you down, it's how you live them." His words were not a lecture, but a reminder. The way we breathe, the way we move, the way we nourish our bodies each day matters far more than the number of candles on a cake. And what's striking is that many of the habits that speed up aging are not the ones we fear. They're the ones we overlook because they feel harmless, even ordinary. Modern longevity experts like Dr. Peter Attia talk about something called functional aging, the ability to keep living life on your own terms without becoming dependent on others. His work shows us that genetics alone rarely decide how fast we lose strength or clarity. More often, it's the slow accumulation of neglect, the missed stretches, the shallow breaths, the skipped meals, the hours sitting in stillness. It's in these small choices that the body begins to lose what once felt unshakable. I call them aging accelerators, habits that chip away at our independence, one unnoticed moment at a time. They steal our energy without warning, change our posture without pain, cloud our thinking without a sound. And yet, if they can speed up aging, they can also be slowed, even reversed. Because if the problem comes from how we live, so does the solution. Today we'll walk through 4 of these overlooked mistakes, the ones most people never think to question. And we'll see how even the gentlest changes can begin to restore your strength, your clarity, and your movement. We'll talk about the breath you didn't know was too shallow, the food your muscles are silently begging for, the part of your body you've probably been ignoring for decades, and the hours of the day that might be stealing years from you. You don't have to change everything at once. You don't have to chase youth. What you can do is stop helping time run faster, one habit at a time, one quiet, conscious step back toward yourself. Because aging faster is not your destiny. And today might be the day you start noticing the habits that decide your tomorrow. Some signs of aging are easy to see, the silver in the hair, the lines around the eyes, but others hide in silence, shaping how you feel long before they show on the outside. One of the most invisible is the way you breathe. After the age of 60, many people no longer breathe deeply without even realizing it. The chest rises and falls, but the air doesn't travel far enough to fully nourish the body. The result is a quiet fatigue that lingers from morning to night, restless sleep that never feels restorative, and a mind that struggles to stay clear. The cause is not a sudden illness, but a slow shift in how the body is used. Years of seated posture, at the table, in front of the television, behind a steering wheel, cause the diaphragm to work less and less. Lungs grow accustomed to a narrow range of motion. Each breath brings in less oxygen, and in turn, cells receive less of the fuel they need. The body adapts to this shortage, but the cost is subtle stress on every system. Slower healing, heavier limbs, more frequent lapses in memory. What surprises many is that breathing, more than diet alone, can influence how quickly our blood vessels age and how efficiently our lymphatic system clears waste. It's not just about air. It's about keeping the body's inner rivers flowing. A full breath massages the heart from within, moves lymph through its hidden channels, and awakens the nervous system in a way no pill can replicate. When that breath is shallow, the body's engine runs at half power. There is a simple rhythm that can help restore what was lost. Inhale slowly through the nose for a count of 4, hold for 7, and exhale gently through the mouth for 8. Done 3 times a day, it nudges the vagus nerve into action, calming the mind and improving the tiny engines inside each cell, the mitochondria, that keep your muscles, brain, and heart alive with energy. It is not a race, it is a return. Perhaps the truest way to see this is through someone who lived it. I once knew a man in his 70s who believed his tiredness was just age. Only when he learned to notice his breath, to feel it filling his lower ribs, did his mornings begin to change. His face took on more color. His walk became steadier. He hadn't gained youth. He had simply stopped living on half a breath. If you age faster, it might not be because of the years passing. It might be because your body has been running on only a fraction of the life it can take in. The air is still here, waiting for you, as it always has been. Strength is often thought of as something you either have or lose with age. But the truth is that muscles are not simply taken away by the passing years. They are starved, slowly and quietly, until one day they cannot do what they once could. This happens more often than people realize, not because of a sudden illness or injury, but because the body is no longer given the building blocks it needs. After 60, appetite can change. Meals may become lighter, portions smaller. Sometimes it's out of fear of eating too much. Sometimes because cooking for one no longer feels worth the effort. Other times it's a lack of awareness that the body's needs have shifted. But when protein intake falls short, muscles do not have the raw materials to repair themselves after even the smallest effort. This silent deficit shows itself first in the legs and core, the very areas that keep us balanced, steady, and independent. Modern research is clear. Past the age of 60, muscle loss accelerates without enough amino acids, especially leucine, found in complete proteins. And it is not only the visible muscle that is affected. The strength to carry groceries, the power to rise from a chair without using your arms, the stability to walk without fear of falling, all depend on what you feed your muscles. What often goes unnoticed is that the meal most neglected is breakfast. After a night of fasting, the body is primed to use nutrients for repair and renewal. Yet many older adults skip it, or choose foods that fill the stomach but offer little for the muscles. Something as gentle as a bowl of yogurt, a couple of boiled eggs, a serving of lentils or tofu can make the difference between a muscle that rebuilds and one that slowly fades. I once met a woman in her late 70s who had always been active, but she began to notice that standing up from her garden bench felt harder each season. She thought she needed to walk more, but her walks grew shorter because her legs tired too quickly. Only when she began including a source of protein at her first meal did she feel her stability return. Within months, she could walk the length of her garden without stopping, just as she had done years before. Your legs don't age from walking too little. They age from being fed too little. And when the muscles are nourished, they repay you in balance, strength, and the quiet confidence to keep living on your own terms. The journey of aging does not begin in the heart or the mind as many believe. It often begins in the feet. They are the base upon which every movement depends, yet they are also the part of the body most easily forgotten. Over time, shoes that confine, chairs that keep us still, and years without intentional care cause the feet to lose their flexibility. This stiffness is not just discomfort. It changes posture, shortens steps, and reduces circulation, including to the brain. When the feet are rigid, balance suffers. The body begins to overcompensate, tightening muscles in the legs, hips, and back. Each step becomes slightly less certain, which quietly erodes confidence in walking. And once walking feels unsafe, activity levels decline. The decline is rarely deliberate. It happens because the ground feels less trustworthy. This is how something as small as a stiff arch can become the first step toward isolation, frailty, and dependence. The connection between the feet and the rest of the body is deeper than most imagine. In traditional cultures, the feet are treated as living maps, each point linked to organs, nerves, and systems throughout the body. In Okinawa, where elders are known for walking upright and strong into their 90s, daily stretches and toe touches are as natural as breathing. This quiet ritual keeps not only their feet supple, but their lower bodies fully alive and responsive. A simple daily moment spent rolling the sole of the foot over a tennis ball can awaken nerve endings, improve proprioception, the body's sense of where it is in space, and help maintain the reflexes needed to prevent falls. The effect is more than physical. The nervous system responds to this stimulation with a sense of grounding and calm, as if reminding the body that it is still capable, still connected to the earth beneath it. I once met an older carpenter who had worked barefoot as a young man, feeling every grain of wood under his feet. When age stiffened his arches, he found himself shuffling, no longer trusting his steps. After months of gentle foot care, he began to stand taller, walk longer, and even return to his workshop for short hours each day. He said it felt like coming home to the ground. If your feet lose their story, your body loses its path. Caring for them is not vanity. It is preserving the foundation that carries you forward, step after step, year after year. There is a quiet part of the day when time seems to slip away without notice. It might be in the afternoon, after lunch, or in the evening before dinner. It is the time spent sitting, not moving, not engaging the muscles that keep you upright and steady. 2 hours, sometimes more, pass like this each day. On the surface, it feels harmless, even restful. But inside the body, a different story is unfolding. When the body stays still for too long, blood flow slows, especially to the hips, pelvis, and lower spine. Muscles that were meant to hold you tall begin to weaken. The spine loses its subtle strength. Even the digestive system, which relies on gentle motion to keep its rhythm, becomes sluggish. Over time, these hours of stillness collect like layers of dust, dulling the systems that keep you energized and responsive. Science has confirmed what tradition always hinted at. Long periods of inactivity are more than just doing nothing. Harvard researchers have linked extended sitting to faster decline in mitochondrial function, the very power plants of our cells, and to a quicker fading of mental sharpness. This is not about age alone. It is about what happens when movement becomes the exception, rather than the constant background of daily life. In many traditional communities, even rest is active. Elders might sit to shell beans, weave baskets, or mend nets, but they shift their weight, stretch their legs, and engage their muscles while doing so. These small motions keep blood moving and nerves firing, preserving both body and mind. I remember a man in his 80s who loved to read in his sunlit chair. Over time, he noticed that when he stood up after an hour, his legs felt heavy, his balance uncertain. He began breaking his stillness with brief movements, lifting his knees, pressing his hands to the wall for a stretch, not as exercise, but as a gentle interruption to the long quiet. Slowly, the heaviness lifted. He could stand and walk with the ease he thought he had lost forever. The time you spend sitting does not age you. It is how still your body remains while doing it. Movement, even in small doses, keeps the rivers inside you flowing, the muscles awake and the mind ready to meet the next moment. It is a reminder that stillness, while comforting, must always make room for life to keep moving through you. The end of a day often carries a quiet reflection. Perhaps it comes while closing the curtains or listening to the sound of the kettle heating water for tea. There's a moment when you feel the weight of years, not in sadness but in a gentle awareness that time has been passing all along. In those moments, it's easy to think that age itself is responsible for every change in strength, memory, or ease of movement. But more often than not, it is not age alone. It is the sum of small habits, repeated without thought, that either keep the body resilient or allow it to fade more quickly. Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara, who lived beyond a century, taught that the years themselves are not the enemy. What matters is how those years are lived, the rhythms we allow, the neglects we permit, the attention we give to what sustains us. This idea is echoed in the work of Dr. Peter Attia, who focuses on protecting what he calls functional aging, the ability to live independently, to stand, walk, and think clearly without relying entirely on others. Both remind us that decline is not inevitable at the pace we fear. Often, it is within our reach to slow it, to protect what still works well, and to restore what has been quietly slipping away. Over the course of life, the habits that determine how quickly or slowly we age are often invisible. The way we breathe, for instance, can either keep the heart and brain richly supplied or leave them working with less than they need. Breathing fully and deeply is not just about air. It is about delivering life itself to every cell. When that habit fades into shallow chest movements, the body adapts, but at a cost that compounds over years. Similarly, the food on our plate may fill our hunger without feeding the tissues that hold us upright. Muscles, especially in the legs and core, are not ornaments. They are the scaffolding of independence. Without adequate nourishment, they weaken quietly, until one day climbing stairs feels foreign. Then there are the parts of ourselves we rarely think about. like the feet that have carried us through decades without complaint. When they lose their flexibility, it is not just steps that become shorter. Confidence fades, and the willingness to move begins to shrink. With less movement comes less circulation, less strength, and more time spent sitting still. And that stillness, especially when it stretches on for hours each day, has its own way of wearing us down. The body's systems, from digestion to balance, depend on motion to function well. Even the mind, with its quickness and recall, benefits from the gentle stimulus of regular movement. None of these changes happen overnight. They build slowly as one day's choices layer upon another's, and because they happen gradually, they can be hard to notice until the effects are already clear. This is why so many people believe they just got old, when in fact they've been living in ways that quietly accelerated the process. But the beauty of this reality is that it works in reverse. The same way small neglects add up, small corrections do too. Restoring a habit of deeper breathing, including more nourishing foods, tending to the flexibility and health of the feet, and breaking up long stretches of stillness can begin to shift the body's trajectory, not dramatically at first, but meaningfully over time. It's important to remember that this is not about chasing a younger version of yourself. It is not about trying to turn back the clock, which is neither possible nor necessary. It is about recognizing that every day offers a choice to stop helping time rush ahead. Each choice is like removing a stone from the pocket of a person walking uphill. The load becomes lighter, the climb more possible. Aging well does not demand perfection. It asks only for awareness and the willingness to care for what remains strong, while nurturing what feels weaker. There is comfort in knowing that your health and vitality are not solely determined by the date on your birth certificate. Most of the forces that influence how you age are within the ordinary moments of each day. They are in the way you sit, stand, breathe, and move, in what you place on your plate, in the attention you give to the parts of your body that quietly serve you. The years ahead can be approached with the steadiness of someone who understands that the smallest habits are the ones that hold the most weight. You do not need to make sweeping changes overnight. You simply need to stop allowing unnoticed habits to push you further from the life you wish to keep living. And once you see those habits for what they are, you have the opportunity to choose differently, with calm, with purpose, and with the knowledge that it is still possible to meet the future with strength, clarity, and grace.